Imagine this, a wealthy millionaire, the kind of man who never really has to check his watch because the world bends to his schedule, decides one afternoon to return home earlier than usual. His mansion, a place of marble floors, gold-framed mirrors, and ceilings painted higher than most churches, was always buzzing with the quiet footsteps of staff. But today, as he stepped through those grand double doors, he heard something unexpected. Soft singing, echoing faintly down the hall. He frowned. It wasn't the polished footsteps of a butler, nor the whisper of a maid tidying the dining room. It was a melody, tender, soulful, heartbreaking. And it was coming from the service wing, the one part of the house he rarely ever visited. With curiosity pulling him forward, he followed the sound. And when he turned the corner, what he saw froze him in his tracks. The black cleaner, whom he barely even acknowledged most days, was kneeling on the floor mop discarded to the side, her eyes closed, tears streaming down her cheeks as she sang with a voice so raw and powerful that the entire room seemed to vibrate. It was not just singing. It was the cry of a soul that had seen pain, endured humiliation, and carried dreams no one had ever cared to ask about. For a man used to fine operas and million-dollar galas, the sound was unlike anything he had ever heard. And for the first time in years, the millionaire felt something deep stir in his chest. He almost spoke, but then he stopped, realizing she hadn't noticed him yet. And so he watched, silently, while her pain and beauty spilled out into the empty halls of his mansion. The cleaner, her name was Althea, had worked in his home for almost 3 years. He had never once asked where she came from, what her story was, or what her dreams might be. The millionaire felt a lump rise in his throat. He had attended countless charity galas where people spoke about injustice, about giving back, about helping the less fortunate. But never had the reality of those words stood so powerfully before him. Althea was living proof of a world that judged before it listened. Now, here's where the story turns. He clapped, loudly, passionately, like no audience had ever clapped for her before. "The world needs to hear you," he said firmly, "not just me." And with that, a journey began, one that neither of them could have predicted. At first, Althea resisted. She didn't believe him. "People like me don't get discovered," she whispered. "I clean floors for a reason." But the millionaire insisted. He introduced her to his connections, producers, music executives, patrons of the arts. Many of them looked skeptical when she walked in, their eyes flickering with prejudice before she even opened her mouth. But the moment she sang, their doubts crumbled. Slowly but surely, word began to spread. Althea, the cleaner-turned-singer, was unforgettable. But the journey was not easy. Some people sneered, whispered ugly things. "She doesn't belong here. She's just a maid pretending. Why waste time on her when there are real artists out there?" Every insult sliced into her like a knife. But Althea had grown strong in silence. She had endured worse. And now, for the first time, she had someone powerful standing by her side, refusing to let her fall. The millionaire, to his own surprise, found himself becoming her fiercest advocate. He used his wealth not just to fund her opportunities, but to shield her from the cruelty of a world that still measured worth by skin color and social class. And maybe, just maybe, that's the question we all need to ask ourselves every single day.